Parang esports tidbit number 1. You do not own the games. You have to ask for...
Correct. I remember those, yeah.
I said esports tip number 69.
Nice.
Hindi lahat ng nasa esports magkaka-sports car.
I
think I said that. Because, dude, it's so unfair for people to think that this is such a lucrative industry when it is very selectively lucrative.
That's a really good way to describe it.
I say selectively lucrative because there are some content creators who earn millions.
Oh, for sure.
Whether it's in ways that are morally right or not, those are other questions. Gambling endorsements.
Correct. That's easy to get, technically.
I don't like it, but I understand the reason for them.
Kasi it's money.
To take it. Yeah. And there's still that notion of in-endorse ko siya, hindi ako yung nag-decide na maglabas ng pera.
What's up, guys? This is Rob from Ungeek, and we are here again for another episode of Behind the Geek, and we have an amazing guest today. For our first few guests, these are possibly a lot people that a lot of people know because they're influencers that you'd see in the public eye. Our guest, Ralph, is one of the people who mostly works behind the scenes, but at the same time, and now you do. Pero he is also at the same time one of the people that I have one of the highest utmost respect for. I've worked with him as a background. I mean, I'll have Ralph introduce himself more, but as a background, I have worked with him in the industry before, and he has always shown very calm confidence. But parang he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to steer the ships that he's led. So yeah, without further ado, Mr. Ralph Alegado, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, thanks Rob.
Go lang.
Rob here.
Yeah, go lang. It is.
Yeah. So
I don't think I ever go by Robert.
Yeah. So hey guys, nice to meet you all. And thanks Rob for having me here.
Oh, man. Our pleasure.
So I'm Ralph Aligada. I am. How do I say this?
Why do people not know you? Yan,
I'm not a public person. I've always been behind the scenes. I started out technically through tech. I'm not sure if you know this.
I don't.
But I was the product manager for Intel before through one of the distributors.
Oh shit.
So that was my first foray into into gaming.
Okay.
So I was one of the people responsible for bringing in 4th generation Intel chips in the Philippines. So So for those in the tech industry, that was 2012, 2013.
Ungeek wasn't even alive then.
Yeah. So so that was my first entry into tech and gaming. Because syempre we have to bring in gaming focused chips.
Correct.
Right? And at that time, Intel was still leading, like over AMD,
Correct.
Miles away. So after that, I moved to TV5, where
I met him.
Yeah, where I was part of the digital team, also known as D5 Studio. So we made a lot of content. We made GG Network.
Yon! That's where it was.
Not my creation. It was the creation of DC Dominguez.
Correct.
And Jason Dayrit. And like the whole team from TV5 before. I kind of inherited it when DC left.
Right.
My main job at TV5 back then was to help with marketing and the digitalization of sports properties. So PBA, when there wasn't much live streaming yet, we moved it to digital.
Right.
We moved it to YouTube, and that was what I was part of. And then when DC Dominguez left TV5, I inherited that role, and I led GG Network for about 3 or 4 years before moving to Goliath Concepts. Goliath Concepts back then when I was there,
wait, before you move on, what's GG? Because the GG Network was a huge part. I think a lot of the people in the gaming industry got to know Ralph from there.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit more about GG
Network back then? Because it was so different. That was more than 10 years ago.
True.
it was 10 years ago. No more than 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Grabe ka naman, 10 lang naman. Wala pang
Yeah,
2016 yata kami. So, yeah.
So, GGNet
My mortality.
was trying to do a lot of things. So it was trying to be gaming and tech media. It was also trying to be a content aggregator and content producer. At the same time, we also wanted to be the authority for gaming and esports in the Philippines. That was the mission. That was the vision. TV5 being primarily a production company, we did eventually create a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I think some of them are still in YouTube.
Actually, if I can add a little bit of context to that. Guys, ito yung in an era where everyone this was the era when everyone was like streaming was becoming a thing. Being a YouTuber was becoming a thing. Na parang
wala pang Facebook gaming nun.
And we were all like, kasi us people in the media, we were like, yeah, man. YouTubing, like live streaming, hell yeah. So GG Network gave us the chance to like be hosts or like have our own shows with them.
Yeah.
Not really our own shows, but I think like parang it would feature people in the media. Tapos parang may episode na kami.
Yeah.
May episode na ibang media naman. And it really gave us that platform to like, oh, it's an opportunity kasi it's still TV5. It's a way for to get our outlets to in front of like more eyes, right? So one of the things that you'd probably remember, or maybe not, there was an episode, there was a show there with Maria Zawa. Right? It was what was it called?
Teach Me Senpai.
Teach Me Senpai. We had like an episode there. Yeah. So parang that was I think one of the more memorable one. My episode of GG was I don't know if you remember, this was Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, I remember that.
Solid yun. You were like,
actually, kung nasa YouTube pa yun, you might want to link it down here.
I just want to say that was one of the higher viewership episodes. But that's less us and more because that game is insane.
Yeah, it was.
So parang yun. Anyway, sorry, please go on.
So, and then I moved to Garage Concepts. Not many people, at least if you're like a general consumer, they won't know the name, but people in the industry would know.
Correct.
Because Garage Concepts, which was conceptualized by Jobber Q, it was the company responsible for ESGS, which for 10 years was the authority for gaming conventions in the Philippines. So I managed to...
it was, I guess, this is not the best description, but it was technically like our E3.
Yeah.
It was the Philippines' attempt at like having a really big gaming-related convention wherein it would feature a lot of like... One time, we even had like Capcom booths there, PlayStation,
Nintendo.
Who was the...
Riot.
No. Yes, Riot. But
was
there was one
year,
time that the guy behind Castlevania was there. Iga?
Yeah.
Iga, right?
Parang
that was wild.
Yeah.
That was wild.
So, in all fairness and like major props to Robert Q, ESGS was like a fantastic vision.
Oh, absolutely.
It did give a lot of jobs to a lot of people.
True.
Because that, ESGS was the sign that the Philippines was ready for gaming.
Correct.
Without that, I dare say that people would still think of gaming in the Philippines as something that's weird, that's
sayang sa
not
oras.
mainstream.
Right.
So, talagang yung vision ni Jobert doon. Hands down.
Absolutely.
Sobrang gano'n na kay Jobert.
Yeah. We joke about it. Parang, iiyak din. But that's how much we appreciate like parang the fact that a show like that existed.
Yeah. So, that was one of the things that Garaya Concepts used to do.
And you were what in Garaya?
I was a lot of things.
Explain. Do explain.
Exactly. So normally for gaming companies, so let me rephrase. For companies in the Philippines that focus on gaming, because it's not big enough yet to be structured like major companies,
right?
Like major corporations rather. You tend to do a little bit of everything. Correct. So I was hired to be the business development head, meaning sales primarily, but I ended up doing a lot of operations. So
I remember that.
hiring, making sure that things were working according to plan. A lot of and strategic direction of the company. So things shifted a little bit.
A lot of hats.
Yeah. I think it was a. I was only there for 2.5 years, I think. But it was a good 2.5 years kasi inabot lang ng pandemic.
Correct.
Yeah. And then during the pandemic, I moved to Globe. So I was their head of games and esports for 3.5 years. Yeah.
What are your memorable projects when you were in Globe?
The first Conquest, we were part of that. We sponsored the first Conquest. In Manila, the first ever Conquest was in Iloilo.
Correct.
Second Conquest, we also sponsored that.
As in, Pokemon, diba, was here. Valkyrie? No, was it that?
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie was here. Oh, correct.
So, I mean, it did have its own issues.
Right.
Probably get into that later. But, at least for an intro. So we had Conquest, we had ESGS, and it was major because ESGS for 8 years, it was sponsored by PLDT and Smart.
Correct. That's true.
We wrested it away from them. Yeah. So that was major for Globe.
True.
I also had the idea of sponsoring Blacklist International. We won a championship.
Blacklist was for
MPL.
Oh, correct.
So for the Mobile Legends Pro League, we sponsored them, and they were our team in the MPL. If Smart had Smart Omega, we had the Globe Blacklist.
Right.
And they won a championship. They had several podium finishes when we were sponsoring them.
You got Blacklist in like the peak, peak of their career. Yeah.
Sakto yun. Super sakto. And it was a milestone because PLDT and Smart thought they had a lockout. Kasi it's a franchise league.
Correct.
Right? But they didn't realize that the lockout there is no other telco can own a team.
Okay.
But it never said no other telco can sponsor a team.
Ooh, okay.
Alam ko yung clause na yun because we ran MPL in Garaya.
Ooh, okay.
I said, okay. Let's reach out to Blacklist. So tawag ako sa kanila.
Okay,
Back then, there's this famous content creator now called Ikoy. Ikoy Rapadas. He was the business development head for, at least for the Blacklist team back then. Good friend of mine. Called him up. Ikoy, pare, gusto kong sponsorin kayo. Kaya ba? Magkano ba ginagano? And yeah, came to terms. Rest is history. Napikon na Smart din. Kaibigan ko rin yung mga Smart.
That loophole.
Kaibigan yung mga Smart.
Okay.
So, Monique ko na stereo.
Si Monique pa talaga.
It's
right there, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing I can say, I never did anything illegal.
True.
It was
true.
You know, it was all laid out there in contract.
It was there. It was a loophole, but it was there.
So, those were memorable for me. There were a lot more things, more telco focused and telco related.
Okay.
Like we launched Globe Gamer Grounds, kind of a different concept, which leads into what I'm doing now. So Globe Gamer Grounds kasi became a storefront for where Globe customers can top up.
Correct.
And my work now is with Level 100. So after leaving Globe, I made Level 100. And is that the accurate term? Could be. Kasi Level 100 is more B2B.
Correct.
I don't have my own stores talaga. But what we do is we make white label stores for content creators.
Right.
So let's say if Ungeek wanted its own store, we can make an Ungeek gaming store for you guys.
Okay.
Where for the profit that you earn per month, hati tayo 50-50.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what my company does now. We have made stores for several content creators. So we started off with 2 stores. First is with Butters, butterstoreph.com, and then with In, Lodin.com, in Mercado. And then we're launching, I can't disclose it yet until it actually comes out, but new stores coming out.
Nice.
So that's what I do now. We basically try to give content creators a new source of revenue.
Correct.
Because it's so tough out there.
True.
It's very tough.
So, if you notice, it's a like everyone knows this, but I guess it isn't brought up enough. A lot of what the consumers will see is syempre, the finished product.
Yeah.
You'll see the event. You'll see parang the high-profile influencers. There are a lot of people in the industry who talagang have established themselves on making these things happen. And like I said, the reason why I invited Ralph over because he really is one of those people who talagang really made a play to make gaming like into a thing for the Philippines. Because how unpopular will this opinion be? It's more of like I honestly believe that I know one of the golden, and I use air quotes so strongly for this. One of the golden ages of the Philippine gaming back then, when everyone was gaming, was during the piracy era. PlayStation, yeah. But it was also one of the most damaging things for us. That I don't think a lot of course, consumers wouldn't care, pero that set us back so much. The whole piracy deal, the whole ganyan, because now they're syempre, your developers and publishers abroad will look at the numbers, yung profitability, and they'll be like, oh, I guess the Philippines just isn't spending.
They'll say, oh, people don't play there.
Oh, so yeah. Little do they know na apparently they were, and then it's just, going to piracy.
Yeah.
Thank God that we went through a shift. So now we're in that, we're playing catch up. Diba? Na parang, yes, you'll hear this na parang hindi na uso yung kaka-computer mo yan. You make fun of it now, but there was a legitimate time na ganun.
Yeah.
But to get from point A to now, Christ, that was a challenge.
There were a lot of roads to get there.
So, my question to you is that, how much of your design, are you like, growing up, were you always like a gamer?
Yes and no.
Okay.
We alam kong kailan tayo halos.
Doxing! Lagyan.
We grew up in the age where 56K modems pa yun.
Right. You did? Kapal na mukha, you did?
And before that pa, like the games were yung mga diskettes pa eh.
Oh, yeah.
MS-DOS based games, right? So we grew up with those.
Yung malaki.
Wolfenstein.
Correct.
And then
Heretic, Doom. Carbon dating.
IDDQD.
Oh no.
Cheat codes. So we grew up with those, and I was one of those lucky enough. Na yung dad ko was a techie. He was, before he became head of HR in Toyota, he was actually head of the IT department in Toyota. So labo from IT to HR. So anyway, kwento niya yun.
Okay.
But I was lucky enough that because he was head of IT, he had access to the best hardware,
okay.
And he would not save on hardware when it comes to our rig at home. So
mahal yun back then.
Yeah. So back then, kung lahat ng tao naka 386, naka 486 na kami. Diba? Ganun type. Lahat ng tao naka Pentium 2 na kami.
Pentium.
Parang carbon dating ba?
Pentium.
So, at that time, talagang swerte because of the rig that I had, I was able to play. And then I also grew up with the start of LAN games.
Correct. What started it? Was it Counter-Strike or was it
Half-Life?
Half-Life, correct.
First.
Yung free-for-all na Half-Life.
StarCraft.
Correct.
Pero yung sumikat, yung tipong lahat ng basketball player biglang naging
CS.
gamer.
CS.
Half-Life and then CS.
Correct.
So, yun yung, dismissal na, takbuhan to the
correct.
Wala pang,
ko yun.
Diba? Wala pang rule against computer shops being 150 meters away from the school.
Wala pa.
Now there are ordinances that prevent that, but I think they've lifted that. I think that.
True.
Diba? Or if ever, hindi lang siya sinusunod.
I don't think it's needed na rin kasi everyone has their own PC na.
Exactly. Mobile na nga eh.
Correct.
Diba? So, yeah, I would game, but I stopped playing when I hit high school.
Okay.
Because girls.
Yun! Yun tayo eh.
Life.
Yun tayo eh. Oh.
So a lot of people got so addicted to games, but I stopped.
So given that,
But I played all the old ones when I was a kid.
So why game?
By accident.
Oh, okay.
So, me going to Intel, it was the first job that was available when my kid was born.
Mm.
So, I just took it.
Okay.
First salary was 37,500 a month for the distributor. And for a father na desperate to just have a job. Because back then, I was doing things for my family's events business.
Mm.
And, it was okay. But I wanted to have my own thing.
Okay.
Ayoko yung, sige, kung sa family ko to, ikilala to because of my family.
Mm.
I want to be known in a field na akin lang.
Fair.
Parang, if my father managed to carve a way to this career, I wanted my own.
At least, yung sayo talaga. Okay.
So, I took the first job that was available, which was for Intel's distributor, Iontech. Same distributors on Razer. So, those in tech media, if you deal with Razer in the Philippines, there's this distributor, AQT Limited / Iontech instead. So, I was working with them, but assigned to Intel.
Okay.
After that, my dream was always to be in TV. In fact, my first ever job was as a cameraman.
Really?
Not many people know that, but I was a cameraman
Saan?
and video editor for a small production house called Sound Idea Communications.
Okay.
We made a TV show called Auto Extreme, and
I know that.
you do?
I think at the very least I've heard of
Yeah,
that.
that was a couple of years back. More than a decade.
Grabe ka. No, but I have heard.
Yeah.
I won't claim I watched it because I'm not an auto person, but I kind of,
So,
I know
it
I've
was
heard of that.
And they made a magazine show called Man and Machine.
Okay.
So I was a video editor and cameraman for that.
Oh, wow.
Yun nga, after that, I moved to my family's business and then Intel. And then I said, okay, gusto ko talaga mag-prod. First love ko yun.
Okay.
Tapos, a friend of mine from high school, Dan Feliciano, was the head of digital for TV5 back then.
Mm.
Gave me a call, sabi niya, Ralph, you like sports, right? Sabi ko, yep. Sabi niya, you like prod? Sabi ko, yep. Sabi ko, punta ka dito. Huh? Ano yan? Ano meron?
Bigla, okay na yan.
And dude, you have to remember, back then, when you said TV5, kasi buhay pa ABS.
Oo.
When you said TV5, it was far from anyone's minds.
Correct.
As like a TV.
It was a distant third brand.
Proud to say, it was by far the strongest third.
Totoo.
Di ba?
Like,
pero it's a far third.
Oo, kasi
far third.
it was almost a two-man race talaga between ABS and JB.
Correct. So, yeah, I moved there. Again, first role was focused on sales and marketing for sports properties.
Okay.
And then Coach Chut, who was president at that time, said, let's focus on esports. Let's make something for esports. And then a lot of things happened in between. And then yun, biglang gaming na yung ginagawa ko for the past 12 years.
So sige, okay. So it was an accident you got there.
Yeah.
Why stick to it? What made you stick to it?
Because I feel like there has to be the right mix of outside gaming experience and gaming experience to actually make this into a viable industry and a viable
I actually agree.
Kasi, and I will touch a lot of nerves here. There are a lot of people who think it's easy to make companies focus on gaming.
No, it's not.
Gagawa silang company, gagawa sila ng organization, mag-run sila ng esports tournaments. It's gonna freak it. Pwede ba magbura?
Go! Kanina, nagbura na ako. Go na.
Do it! It's gonna freaking fail.
Oh.
Why? Because okay. The common I would say perception of people running the gaming industry is that it's run by a bunch of kids. Because A, it's gaming. So thinking pa nila, bata.
Correct.
And then B, kasi nga, marami talagang bata.
Yun. I was gonna say, kasi it's kind of true.
Yeah. So, this is a very young industry where you need people with actual corporate experience
Yun.
to help run things and put processes, put proper perspectives. Otherwise, people keep making mistakes. Like thinking profitability is so easy.
Correct.
People thinking that sustainability is just, like that. Sales will come in.
I have a semi-hot take on that kaya. Na sinabi ka para I think the people who succeed in the gaming industry can't just be gamer lang sila. Or geek lang sila.
Yeah.
It has to be tempered by actual proficiency with marketing, with like industry of Parang it has to, kailangan tempered by that eh.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just becomes a hobby.
Correct.
And hobbies are great, but then you start faltering kapag it's not going well. Or you don't have the exact experience on how to navigate troublesome situations.
Yes.
Oo.
Yes. And I think one of the major issues in our industry in the Philippines is we're too small.
Okay.
Ang liit na nga natin. Okay, I'm gonna be a bit paano ba to? Parang math.
Go.
Supot ako sa math.
Go.
Kung ito yung pie, math ba to? Physics. Kung ito yung
Mas
pie,
naman, go.
kung ito yung pie for budgets of brands, asan dito yung gaming?
It's a sliver. It's a sliver.
And usually, it's part of sports. So it shrinks even.
To be fair, it's a
Usually-
little bit bigger now.
Yeah. Mainly because nag-expand na rin.
Correct.
Because now you have gaming tangent industries
Correct.
like hardware, even telco.
No, and gaming marketing, amazingly, is legit now.
Yeah.
Gaming / cosplay / marketing is a real thing now.
Cross culture.
Uh-uh.
It has been part of the formulas of marketers now.
Right.
We had the Gen Z.
Pop
lagay tayo
Eyes,
ng-
di ba?
lagay tayo
Started.
ng cosplay. Ganun na sila.
Galing nga eh.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good in that sense. But how many people can actually say that they have experience running companies? They have the proper know-how with price, product. Sorry, marketing.
5Ps.
Or 5Ps. Price, product, placement, positioning. All of those, kailangan mo pa rin ng konting theoretical background.
Correct.
Because if you go by instinct, man,
Mahirap.
you're gonna run this industry to the ground.
Ah.
And that's exactly what happened to a lot of companies
Oh,
during
actually. Yan,
the
yan.
pandemic and even after the pandemic. Ang dami.
Actually, yun nga eh. Yan yung part of what you wanted to talk about. Yan. Na parang, like I said, Ralph is very behind the scenes, so he knows it. Na parang, we talked about, so he did Karaya events. Dami. What would you say about what is the current state of gaming events or geek events now in the Philippines? Kasi before, we had ESGS, yan. Suddenly, like last year,
It was exploding nung una,
Oh.
tapos biglang nag-die down.
kasi, refresher, we had Manila Majors, huge,
2016. Yeah.
huge ass event. Like parang, we
Yeah,
were
ESL
part
won
of,
and Manila Major in the same year.
correct.
Yeah.
Lakas nun. And then, yun nga, we got followed by ESGS, and we got like, renowned companies from global, from regional, who are coming here. But there's something that happened last year that kind of.
I don't think it happened just last year.
Oh, sorry, it
So,
manifested last year.
separate-
Pero ano.
Separate incidents yan eh. If you go by major esports events, technically, nabawasan yung international level events of the size of a Manila Major
True.
because of several factors. Number one, nag-change yung valve ng system nila.
Okay.
But dati there were like 4 majors a year, and Manila was chosen as one of those. And then that changed. Nag-iba silang format. Worth it to mention that the GAB professionalization did not help.
It didn't.
It did not help. All due respect to our friends from the Games and Amusements Board of the Philippines, but I have said this a lot of times where the rules have to be changed. And I've been advocating for changing that a lot of times because it was initially patterned after boxing rules,
Correct.
which means it's prize fighting. And this is not GAB's fault. If I were in GAB, no idea how gaming works, and my definition na binigay sa akin was it's prize fighting.
You'll find the closest paradigm kasi that fits eh.
Yeah. And prize fighting literally means if I compete for a prize, I have to be professional.
Correct.
I have to register.
Correct.
But gaming events are not like that.
Uh-huh.
Remember, what is to differentiate a marketing event from a professional commercial esports event? There's a lot of difference there. There's a huge 180-degree turnaround between those two types of events. But if you go by that definition, no, it's the same.
Oh.
Diba?
I heard...
Sa kanila kasi, naglalaro kami tapos may prize.
Yun na yan. I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I once heard na parang back then, when you were it happened either on a succeeding major sa Philippines, na there were players who didn't want to fly in
Galaxy Battles?
because parang we had like certain regulations.
Marijuana.
And that's
dangerous drugs.
Correct. It was drugs, but the reality was kasi there are certain countries who allow it.
Yes. That was part of those. Kasi when that happened, it was the peak of the drug war of then President Duterte.
Yeah.
So those were legitimate concerns. But at the same time, I think a lot of it was blown out of proportion.
Sige, go.
No team ever came out and said, "Oh, we don't want to go there because we might get detained." No team ever said that publicly.
I mean, would they?
Honestly, some of them should have. Diba? Kasi unless it was explicitly written, hearsay yun eh.
Hindi correct, but like, you don't want to confirm it.
Yeah. But remember, in their country, marijuana is legal.
Oh nga, but that's true. And I think that was the catch-22. Once again, I could be wrong. This is theory in my head. In my mind, sabi ko, if I was one of those teams from a marijuana like approved country,
I get what you mean. Meaning, kapag i-announce mo, lalo kang titignan.
Oh, and it's not just that. Parang you have fans who don't really care about that, pero biglang, you use it pala. Kasi you never advertise it,
Tama
right?
naman. But
kaya feeling ko, I don't think they could have just gone out and said, no.
I think, regardless of how they said it, those GAB rules did hurt the industry. It set us back a few years. Because back then, how many international events were happening? Now everything's localized. Diba? Yeah, we had... Shucks, I forget. Was it M5? MPL?
I
it was
think...
M5, right?
M5, no?
So we had that done here, but that's one. But their Rev Major was technically one of those na international level, but it had its own issues. It's not really GAB related. Pero yun yung issues eh. Back then, ang dami nang naglalaro dito. You had League of Legends. There was a regional level championship that was done here. Globe Conquerors, Manila.
Yeah, I remember.
2019, if I remember right.
Sorry, I'm not super, they know this, I'm not super into the esports rin.
Yeah.
But I'm not super, if you're wondering why I don't really know them.
So, siguro ganito, going back to your question on what's the state now, I think it's in a state of economic correction. Kasi everything I just said was pre-pandemic.
Correct.
During the pandemic, it accelerated things too fast. And
that's true.
That is the same in other countries.
Actually.
Massive layoffs, esports orgs shutting down.
Because a lot of people like took pandemic numbers and they're like, it's the new, the new normal. It's not.
People really thought that this was going to be sustained. Biglang nagka-COVID vaccines.
Correct.
Right? So, suddenly, the world opened up again. People moved on. So, people stopped playing. Let me rephrase that. People who never really used to play and then suddenly played during the pandemic because they had nothing else to do.
Correct.
They stopped playing. So, now it's correcting itself again. So, game publishers also, especially in the US and other Western countries, they hired a lot of people because they thought, tumaas yung numbers natin. For us to sustain this, we need to hire more people. But it wasn't sustainable. So now you have thousands of layoffs across different publishers.
So many. Right.
And a lot of esports are shutting down. Right?
That was a lot. We were also discussing this before we started recording. Na parang over the pandemic, so many new companies came up.
Yep.
And then, rough number in my head, 80-90% of them are like gone.
Or sold
Oo.
to other companies and then palit name.
Yun na nga eh. Parang, that's why. But last year, sige, going back, but also last year, there were so many issues with a lot of events. Eh.
Yeah. I think yung last year, let me slightly correct you there. 2023 was the year where there were a lot of issues with specific events.
Sorry, yes, you're right.
Which is why in 2024, wala na yung events na yun.
Correct. Sorry. That's the right
so, 2023, I think, was the last year of so many big events happening. You had Conquest, you had ESGS, you had PGDX, all happening. 3 major, if you include Rev Major, not really a convention, but an international event.
Oh, PGDX continued.
Yeah. Then you still have FPL, who does on-site. You have, I'm not sure if Valorant did something local. I think Wild Rift tried to make one. Could be wrong. But anyway, the point is, nabawasan. Because, precisely because of what I was saying earlier, I think there needs to be a lot more experience in running these companies.
Yeah.
And a lot more prudence in deciding to do things a certain way. And a lot more composure and... Shucks, I'm looking for the right word. Composure and just like patience.
Because everyone is going for like, okay, we have to grow at this level. When those were possible during the pandemic, but not in an
Yeah. And, I mean, dude, the data is screwed up. Who's your main source of data for market sizing? Newzoo?
I know that.
Newzoo's methodology is flawed.
There you go.
Because it's all online. E di, kuha mo agad, market audience ng online.
Correct.
Diba? So, kunyari, how many Filipinos actually game in the Philippines? A lot of studies would say 40 million. Some would say 45, some would say 51. Pero anong definition nila? Anong methodology nila? Diba? So,
can you correct that? So
it's going to be hard because you need reputable research companies to actually do that study for you. And unfortunately, it costs, for a legitimate study, millions.
That's
diba?
true.
And for a small company starting out in gaming in the Philippines, and esports in the Philippines, for them to spend $1 million on a study just so that they have their data properly set up, I don't think people are going to spend for that. So they go with Newzoo, bloated numbers, they get investor figures using Newzoo numbers, and it's already flawed.
Are we past it? Past the whole over investment?
Yeah. I would think so, because investors in general have been wary with investing in gaming companies. A lot of investors are disillusioned because it's money down the drain.
Correct.
You speak of huge numbers in terms of use, engagement. That doesn't necessarily translate to sales.
How does that affect the gaming environment in the Philippines?
You get a lot of disillusioned old people like us.
Aray, grabe naman. Excuse me.
Hindi kami disillusioned. We're still here.
Hindi kami old. Ay, wow.
Doon ka nasaktan sa
hindi sa disillusion. Doon ako sa old nasaktan.
Pero seryoso, it burns you out.
That's fair.
It really burns you out. If you're running a company, and my friends who are event owners or event organizers, agency owners, they can attest to this. It burns you out.
I think it burns you out. Correct me if I'm wrong. If this wasn't your point, go ahead. It burns you out because you have a certain... For us who kind of know what you want to achieve out of gaming. So may goal tayo. Like for example, the Ungeek goal has always been to make gaming big enough in the Philippines so we wanted games journalism in the Philippines to be an actual career. So we wanted to try and make it reputable enough, big enough so that, it could be sustained. Also, that also means that video gaming as an industry in the Philippines should also be a thing as well.
Yeah.
Kaya nga for us, we've always wanted to support various geek industries because their success also technically means our success.
Yes.
So we want to do this. But then for other companies, now it's great when you get financial backing, but when the people who are investing in you don't exactly know that those numbers won't come immediately, I think that's what causes part of the burnout. Na parang you're expected, do these results.
Yeah.
But I want it here. And then if you don't do it, pero in industry B, they did this. Bakit hindi nyo kaya? Is that what you were getting at, or is it a different?
Partly. And then on top of that, a lot of these investors are Western. Those countries have very different cultures than us.
True.
Those countries have very different
spending
power compared to us. So, it drives me crazy to see some business owners make appalling decisions. Dude, I'll be straight. There was a time where there were some business owners who would flaunt sports cars. Shots. If you were my personal Facebook friend, about 2 or 3 years ago, I was in the mood. I created like these funny, or I thought they were funny, esports advice tips, or
I remember that you were doing like parang every so often Ralph would like post something on Facebook na
parang esports tidbit number 1. You do not own the games, you have to ask for
correct. I remember those. Yeah.
I said esports tip number 69.
Nice.
Hindi lahat ng nasa esports magkaka-sports car. I think it said that because dude, it's so unfair for people to think that this is such a lucrative industry when it is very selectively lucrative.
That's a really good way to describe it.
I say selectively lucrative because there are some content creators who earn millions.
Oh, for sure.
Whether it's in ways that are morally right or not, those are other questions. Gambling endorsements.
Correct. That's easy to get, technically.
I don't like it, but I understand the reason for them.
Kasi it's money.
To take it. Yeah. And there's still that notion of in-endorse ko siya, hindi ako yung nag-decide na maglabas ng pera.
There is an inherent danger.
Yeah.
And I understand. I don't post anything about it because like Ralph, I do understand why people do it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I intellectually understand you being shown X amount of money.
And it's survival for some.
But I will also say kasi na parang a lot of the people who do get access to that kind of offer aren't really in the need to survive. They're usually thriving at that point.
Fair.
Kasi
Fair.
Parang you won't...
Fair.
You are being hired as a loudspeaker. If you do not have the following, or if you do not have, if you don't have the fame to back it up,
get paid that much.
Correct. So yun din yung argument ko na parang, So, but there is damage.
Yeah.
My stance, I don't know. I think I've discussed this to you in the other times we've talked. There is an advantage to the Philippines na parang our current scenario is roughly 5 years behind Western Western streaming trends. So usually, yung nangyayari sa kanila, so you technically have a roadmap in front of you. The whole gambling thing, it started as a States dati pa. It became a problem for them. And all you need to do is to check their numbers to know na parang there are a lot of people who are losing so much money through gambling. Kasi uso na sa kanila yung mga parang something Kings. DraftKings. And it's NBA or whatever. So even kids do have access to it. And just go on your phone. You can.
Yeah.
So yun parang there is a danger. And I think that's what my stance is for it. Na parang, yes, it'll give you money. Pero at the same time, you are endangering the same people who propped you up.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. I'm not gonna openly
Very
condemn
fair.
people for it because I know everyone has their own circumstance of whether they said yes or no. But for me, kasi personally, it's that. Na parang, people who get to that level owe their success to their communities and to their fans.
Yeah.
So,
There's another perspective to like all the streamers and content creators who enter gambling. It's an exit plan.
correct. That's true.
Kasi sumikat sila 10 years ago. Nung nagsisimula pa lang yung Facebook gaming. Wala
True.
nang Facebook gaming, nandiyan pa sila. So, back then when they were building from 0 followers to X million followers, back then, the way to earn money was Facebook would be paying you to stream.
True.
Because they wanted people to start.
And these were lucrative contracts, ha?
Diba? X hours per week, you get paid X thousand USD.
Correct.
That has since stopped. And where does the money come from now? From endorsement deals,
Correct.
Facebook ads. But if you don't make content, you don't get a share of the ads anymore.
Alam ko
So-
parang even the required hours became crazy rin kasi.
Yeah. And you know, I think that's both the beauty and the bad thing that Facebook created in the Philippines.
The bubble.
Unfortunately, Facebook kind of, hindi lang bubble they kind of dictated Philippine society. They elected the president through Facebook. Remember the Duterte era?
Correct.
And after that, yun nga, the gaming industry was shaped by Facebook gaming. I say that loosely. It's not to be taken literally, but it kind of was shaped by Facebook. Because if you ask me, the best streaming viewing experience is on Twitch, not on Facebook gaming.
It's true. Yeah.
Sorry, not on Facebook.
Ngayon, actually, you're also YouTube is now in that game na rin.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
fine. Pero back then, unquestionably, medyo Twitch.
YouTube, iba rin ang style.
Correct.
Diba? Sila mostly yung walkthroughs, game solutions, reviews.
No, may streams na rin.
May streams din, yes. Pero, not the way Filipino consume it.
Correct.
But kids would consume it, yes. The live streams. Pero, how generally people think of gaming and monetization, hindi naman bata yung audience agad.
Kasi you want someone with spending power.
So, everything that Facebook did before made it good for the streamers back then, for the content creators back then. And when that stopped, where do they get the money?
Correct.
Nag-quit na ng trabaho yung mga yan. And now,
Correct.
back then, if they were mid-20s, mid-30s, ngayon they're what? Mid-30s, mid-40s. Which, if you think about it, is too old.
Bakit ang daming age? Nakakasakit eh. Nagiging abo yung...
Excited naman tayo dito eh. Pero I mean, yun nga, if you look at streamers, they are entertainers. And as they age, some of them have kids now.
Correct.
And unfortunately, as people age, spending habits change. So you're looking at the first set of content creators now that are actually aging out of that career and they're looking for an exit plan. So there are a lot
Actually, that's a fair perspective.
diba? There's a lot of up and coming content creators now who are going to take the place of these guys. So a lot of people actually use it as an exit plan.
Nah.
Kasi hindi naman nila masustain na, pucha, 50 years old na ako, tapos nag-stream pa ako. Unless ikaw si Lola Gaming, Nanay Gaming. I forget.
Who's the grandpa who's yung magaling mag-sniper? Galing nun, grabe.
Diba?
Parang akong wild, man.
Pero, diba, you get my point. Where suddenly it's not, you're not pretty enough for streaming anymore. Why? Because you've aged out of it.
Now, to be fair, I guess, sige, ganito, before people flip out on that comment, it's more of like, if you were to give it proper context, a lot of people will argue that streaming and content creation is primarily a young person's game. You're more in touch with the market who is, who consumes that media in that platform. So parang, you will always be on the path to be phased out. Very few have survived being phased out. Like, for example, we all know Markiplier. I'd like to hope so. But even Markiplier is kind of like, naglaylo na rin. PewDiePie, diba?
Yeah.
Parang, as popular as he was, he has started easing out na rin.
Yeah.
May ganun eh. And you...
Because at one point, what is there to make? Diba? You run out of energy, of ideas.
For mainstream celebrities, matagal yung phase out eh. Because, for example, even if you started as a child actor or actress, there's still a big chance that as you age, 50 years old, 60 years old, if you are really that good at your job, relevant ka, pwede kang kunin for like the older roles naman.
There's a high bar of entry.
Correct. In lots of ways, content creation in the Philippines is algorithm dictated.
Correct.
Right? I mean, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, you'll do the work. Yeah, you'll do all the tried and tested, proven marketing approaches. In fact, there are people who make a living out of telling people, okay, this is how you go viral. But,
Lotto pa rin siya.
Yeah.
Like, the people that you see who make it. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them would, even if I told Gloco right now, if I told him, you were lucky, I don't think he'd disagree.
Yeah.
Because he knows. There are so many people who, arguably, there are people who put in so much more work.
Yeah.
Than most of the people in the industry. And yet, they're not gonna... Kasi wala eh. There's also a luck aspect to it.
Dude, we don't have to look further. See, this guy, Christopher Diwata. What happened, Vela?
Correct.
10 years after. Hindi man 10 years. 7, pura ka 10 years na.
O nga eh! Alam mo, nananakit ka lang yata.
7 years.
Okay.
7 years after guesting in Showtime. Bigla naging viral siya ngayon.
Correct.
And he didn't do a thing to be viral this year.
Correct.
It just happened. It just happened.
Pero,
diba?
it just happened.
Sorry, it was right there.
Correct. But I will say rin, na parang the other part of that is, so yon, may swerte ka. So you get your 5 minutes of fame. But the other part of that equation is, yun nga, the exit. So now that I have this fame, do I just fizzle out? You try to make something of it na kahit na paano, even if matapos yung 5 minutes mo, you still have something for it.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Not everyone is able to pull that off.
And not everyone even knows that you have to have that.
Correct. Kasi minsan parang, nice, sumikat ako because I'm me. Ito na yun, parang my community loves me for me eh. Won't always be the case eh.
Yeah. And I think content creators have to understand that they are now people of influence.
Correct.
And it's high time that they act like they really have influence. And influence for good.
The label implies responsibility.
Yes.
Kasi,
exactly.
Influencer ka. Sabi ko nga, parang to some degree, sorry, and I know that the people in Ungeek, we're no one big. We're no big content creator out
there. Not exactly mainstream.
Pero, at the same time, we still have our spheres of influence. So, parang sabi ko, the fact that we get on camera, the fact that we are privy to certain things in the industry, like yun nga, sharing like game previews and whatever, even that small, that means we do have some sort of influence that we have to be responsible for.
Correct.
Kasi syempre, there will be people na parang, look no further than news and streaming. Nasikat sina Johnny Somali and ganyan. And then you have other people who are trying it. And look at the detriment that it's going. Look at Vitaly. Diba? W for the government, by the way, for like locking him up. I supported that. I was like, dude, please don't. Kasi I don't want na mauso siya here. I don't want na parang people will think na parang, I said this to one of my friends. People have to stop thinking that this is just a PvE server. The Philippines is a PvP server, If you're comparing it to the West, this is not, you don't fuck around and find out here, Parang there is Filipinos are very hospitable, very nice. True. But at the same time, you're not exactly like the safest here if you choose to be that disruptive.
Nagmamabrul pa rin minsan.
Correct. Oh. Like parang in the States, diba, there are people na if they're causing a scene, you try not to touch them because they can sue you.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens here. Makikigulpi pa yung ibang tao. It's like, get a few kicks in. Tapos parang the police come and like, good job.
Ang gusto ng content ngayon, road rage.
Diba?
Kapag yung sutukan,
diba? And you think people get like, lawsuits for that. There are a lot of those parang, ano makukuha mo dyan?
Yeah, sayang ka ng pera. Spend it for it.
That's why I'm saying, like, parang, relax. I mean, don't, for nuisance streamers, this is not a PvE server. Relax. So, yan, parang, that's what I'm saying, na spheres of influence.
Yes.
And,
Totally agree. Totally.
Sige, you were saying something about it, Ren, kasi, na parang, sorry, I cut you off.
Yun lang, I think a lot of content creators think that they're creating content for fun, for their community. But at the same time, if you want to earn, you gotta be brand safe.
Correct.
Because not all brands are actually happy being with someone controversial. Kasi it goes against their brand's values.
Correct.
So, paano mo ngayon i-marry yung need for exciting, relevant content?
To be fair,
you know,
I will say kasi na para sometimes for content creators, their rationale is, do they have to do disruptive content like that? Kasi, para I stay relevant.
Tama naman.
As an extension. Pero yun nga na parang, the trap that doesn't occur to a lot of people is, sige, you'll be disruptive. So what happens is, you'll do nuisance thing 1, or something na medyo wild, na ganyan. And after, you need to one-up that.
Yeah.
And then you need to one-up that. If you follow that path, that's jail.
Yes.
That's just jail, dead, or like whatever, right?
And I think they also, and this is where I mentioned earlier, the lack of proper theory in people who run things in the industry. Creators have to understand that when brands look for creators, they don't look for numbers alone.
Correct.
They look for authenticity, and there's going to be a very strange word for the general Filipino audience: authenticity and congruence. Congruence to the brand's qualities, the brand's vision, and what does the brand stand for?
Correct.
Let's say Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew clearly wants to be for the youth. It's exciting. It's edgy, diba? We know that it used to sponsor the X Games. We know that it now sponsors gamers. So it's looking for creators that share that same brand value with them. But if you get someone, sorry talaga, babalik ko sa matanda. If you get an old gamer, hindi congruent yun sa brand nila. Diba? That's Mountain Dew. That's just one brand. Let's say you have a brand who's very safe. Like Globe. Globe is a very safe brand. It's a very clean and professional brand that focuses on authentic values. Gaming for good. Yung campaigns namin dati. Right? Go forward together. I think that's one of their campaigns now. And if you have a creator that's just doing a lot of shit online, that will never be congruent to their brand.
Correct.
So
I know there are people today who are against that. Parang, oh man, I shouldn't have sponsors dictate. And I know, and I get it. Kasi parang you don't want na parang, suddenly you're just a mouthpiece for this brand. Pero there's a balance.
Yeah.
It's not just like, we're not telling you to be slaves of the brand. But you also have to accept the reality na if you really do want to make a name for yourself in the industry, a really good way to do it is to be, at the very least, yes, be yourself, but at the same time, be palatable enough naman for the brands as well.
Yes.
Kasi they're not, I'm pretty sure na parang at some point the brands will try to they'll try to overlook a few things.
May straddle yan
they're not just gonna be like, you don't follow all of our values?
Yeah.
We don't like you anymore. They're not gonna do that. Pero yun nga, na parang sometimes people forget about that part and they just do whatever, right?
I mean, case in point, going back to Globe, it's not gaming, but their biggest endorser now is Beanie.
Correct.
A couple of months ago, Beanie got embroiled in a scandal.
Correct.
Some members, diba? I don't exactly know the whole story. All I know is it was kind of scandalous.
Actually, ako rin.
So you have Globe, who still utilizes Beanie as their biggest endorser, but they did have some struggles earlier in the year, and yet they stuck it out. So some brands are strong enough and powerful enough to back their endorsers, but a lot of brands will just drop you like a hot potato.
And I'm pretty sure there was deliberation on Globe's end. That
Most
wasn't
likely, yeah.
that wasn't just parang we'll forgive them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was like, are we going to like keep them with this? I'm pretty sure there was like a strong deliberation. So may effect eh.
Yeah.
It still has weight.
And contracts usually for established brands have a clause there that state anything you do that is damaging to the brand will be a violation of the contract, and you will
You can
not
you
have
can
a-
lose it. Oh.
Responsibility, as you mentioned, there influence and responsibility go hand in hand.
Correct. Oy, so grabe pagka-talk ng industriya. There's so much to say.
Hanggang madaling araw tayo dito.
But I'm going to put you on the spot. Not for anything, but because this is something that I myself don't know about. So I'm not gonna give a lot of my takes because I don't think I'm qualified to. I have observed though that esports has started to, as an industry in the Philippines, has started to mildly put mellow out.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me like why that is? Kasi parang we did come from a period when it was heralded as the next big gaming industry that would pop out. Like you said, over the pandemic, ang daming esports. And a lot of those companies have closed. Some have made teams, some have like done platforms around esports.
Yeah.
So why is that? Because that's something that I don't understand as much as well.
If you're asking me why a lot of esports or orgs have closed, I think it's because of a lack of understanding of how much it actually costs to run one, and how much you stand to make if you have a team.
Sige, let's go with cost first. What are the big costs for it?
Sometimes people think it's just players and a boot camp and the manager.
Or maybe a streaming house here and there. Oh,
House
ganun,
and there. It's more than that. You have to deal with marketing, with procurement if you want to be more prudent
Procurement
about it.
in terms of getting more team members. So.
Not necessarily that. I mean, literally, okay. The cost of a sublimated jersey from a company in Marikina versus a company in Quezon City.
Okay. Oh.
Convenience, Quezon City ka. Pero mas mura sa Marikina. Yung mga ganun.
Okay.
A procurement officer would be able to save you money on that.
Okay.
Right? Rigs, punta kang Easy PC versus PC Express versus DynaQuest. Sino mas mura?
Correct.
Hardware
So
understanding.
that kind of okay.
Diba? So that kind of procurement, like, that matters.
Okay.
Because not all hardware manufacturers would sponsor teams.
Okay.
Kasi may ibang tao thinking, lapit tayo sa Acer, lapit tayo sa Asus. X-deal na lang tayo.
Correct.
Man, if Asus, Acer, HP, Lenovo, if they had the budget to do that for everybody, they would have done that by now. But no, it doesn't work that way.
But I have also been seeing a lot less sponsorships by Not sure if that's just me, pero
I think it's a lot less din talaga. Kasi nga, you have to look also at the return.
okay.
Kasi it is a whole ecosystem. If you look at the team, and for full disclosure, I do not own a team. I do not run a team. But I run...
But you were privy to like how kasi Globe did
Globe
deal
had
with
Liab.
a lot.
Andun ako sa tail end of Liab. And we also had a partnership with Blacklist. And at the same time, when I was in Goliath handling the MPL na, I was also aware of what it costs to run things. I also helped out with Playbook at one point. So we kind of know how tech and player costs would end up being. So, bottom line, I do have a glimpse of what's required. Now, because it's an ecosystem, if you have, let's say, a crowning glory, which is the team, there are only like 2 or 3 revenue sources. Number one, prize winnings.
Correct.
And if your team doesn't win, you don't
Yun nga
have
eh. That's like one in like, or five.
Second,
few.
Streaming or
Okay.
brand endorsements. Sorry, so 3 yun. Diba? So, other than that, wala ka na naman eh. Kasi merch, magkano lang yan? Magkano lang kita sa merch? I think the only really successful company that actually made their merch valuable was Blacklist. Because they marketed it as a lifestyle brand.
Fair.
Diba? In fairness, ang galing ng ginawa ng Tier 1 doon.
Okay.
The branding of Blacklist International was top notch, was top tier. No
Who's
pun
tier
intended.
1?
No, pero diba, like Blacklist was a household name
Fair.
at its peak.
That was good PR in on their end talaga.
Yeah. So Black Box, when yun nga, lahat ng jerseys nila, there are more Blacklist jerseys out there than there are any other team. Diba? Ganon sila kagaling mag-market. So you have again, you have that ecosystem of interchangeable parts, right? Crown and Glory mo yung team and players, 3 lang ang revenue sources mo, 4 at the most. Pero lahat ng cost mo ang laki. Magkano sweldo ng marketing manager? Magkano sweldo ng
How
road
big
manager?
is the team that you need to correct? So yeah, you have your team. But how big are the how many employees do you need to sustain an esports team?
That can depend. It depends on how you position the team in the first place.
Okay.
If you envision them to become streamers at the same time, which doesn't automatically happen kasi may ibang players tahimik lang eh.
I was gonna say.
Hindi mo nagsasalita yan eh.
I was gonna say that exact same thing kasi excuse me. In the few times that I did go to an esports event, so we tried to interview we have done before naman some interviews with esports players. Some of them would, know how to like work the camera and ganun. Some of them, para for example, I would ask, I forgot who it was, but sinabi ka para, so ano po yung ginagawa nyo para sa mag-prepare for the ganun? And the answer would just be, mag-practice po.
No media training eh.
Oo. So that's the thing, na parang they're really good at being a player, but kasi the moment that you get in front of a cam to stream, it's a lot more than just
Different.
being good at the game.
Yeah, you become an
Entertainer ka na eh.
And not everyone's built that way.
Like,
So-
how many big global esports? I mean, Ninja is one, but even Ninja had his ups and downs with that. I don't think even a lot of the FaZe players
Yeah.
are like super stream ready or
And
ganyan.
they probably don't have time in the
I could be wrong. Hindi, but I do know kasi na parang FaZe. Sorry, I hear stuff here and there. I don't exactly follow FaZe, so I could be wrong. But alam ko na parang, for example, they host streamer parties, mga ganyan. So I think they do. And alam ko there are some who are very prevalent in the streamer scene. But I don't think it's a lot of them.
Yeah. So
Could be wrong.
So what esports orgs usually do is they partner with streamers. Diba? So, hindi magaling mag-stream yung mga player ko. So, kuha ako ng influencer /streamer/content creator. I'll put them under my brand and they stream using my jersey. They do watch parties. They stream the games. Sila yung nagiging entertainer for the team.
And then guest na lang siguro yung mga players.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Diba? So, that's an option. But then, that also comes with a cost.
Correct.
Kasi babayaran mo ng minimum yung influencers mo eh. So, magkano rin yan?
Correct.
Boot camps include food, include sleeping quarters, allowances, lahat ng yan. So, man, it's costly. And then, couple that with
Kuryente mo pala.
security.
Oo nga, that's right. Yeah.
They really become huge influencers.
Correct naman.
Kung magaling ang marketing ng team mo at kung magaling yung
At kung sobrang galing mo rin.
diba? So, all of those, plus the fact na dahil nga bago lang yung company, bago yung owner, hindi naman mataas yung budget to hire a proper sales guy, suddenly yung sales packages niya sobrang mahal. Eh di hindi siya makabenta. Diba? Hindi ko measure it yung sales packages sa values that a company would own, that a brand would get rather.
Not everyone is also able to hire someone who's well connected in the industry.
There are very few good salesmen in gaming and esports. I say that with all objectivity. There are less than 10 people I know. Of course, I don't know everybody, but I know of less than 10 people who can sell like anything. Diba? And konti lang yun. And sell it properly.
No, because it's a skill.
And going to the sales part, I think that's also the downfall of this industry.
Okay.
Because walang established sales packages. So the prices became so crazy.
Sobrang nag-vary from team to team. Sometimes you're too much pa.
Yeah. Unlike, let's say, sports properties in
You
let's
have
say basketball.
You have a baseline.
May baseline ka rin. Sweldo ng commentators in the PBA.
Would
Meron
you
ka rin
say?
fixed salary doon.
Would you say na brands have also, because of course there will be brands who will try, but now that we're past the try period, are they now more it's too expensive?
Yeah, daming nasunog dyan. Diba? Pansin mo yung mga pumasok sa gaming and esports, and then ang laki ng binayad nila, walang return, so ang ending, influencers na lang kinuha. Diba?
I see.
And where does the money go? It doesn't go to the org. It goes to the influencer. It goes to the agency that hired the influencer.
That's true.
So it is an industry that has so many moving parts and infancy pa lang. Diba? Kahit na sabihin natin it's been here for a decade. Basketball has been there since
True.
Diba? Hindi ko pa sabi yung exact year, nakalimutan ko.
No, and I'm sure a lot of people are still figuring out the ins and outs of the industry pa, even if you say it's been around for a decade. Because if you count the pandemic years, minus yun eh.
If you ask me, the burden on making this sustainable is on the game publishers. And I'm friends with a lot of them. I hope they listen to this when I say you gotta fix your whole ecosystem, because if the game publishers do not take care of this, they do not value the communities they build, if they don't understand that this whole ecosystem will only move if they actually make an effort to move it, you will go the route of, let's say, a Vainglory. Remember Vainglory?
I do.
Remember Rules of Survival?
Oh, nga.
All of those were huge back then. And they're gone.
That's true.
Kasi hindi na-realize ng game publisher na, importante pala yung pag-maintain ng community, different metrics.
True. I would say that, once again, sorry, don't put too much weight on my opinion when it comes to esports, because it's just, I will only base this off personal preference. But my insight for this is that you can't create a game that's just esports for esports sake. I don't think so. I think the most memorable esports games for me, Overwatch. Although Overwatch did fail because it went to esports. But the love for that game came from the lore of the characters. Yun naman yung reason why people love that game eh. And then they dropped it. I will say that the success of Rivals, although I know Rivals has been middling na rin now, but I think that's just fair. Like, parang it's just past the honeymoon period now. But Rivals has been putting in a lot of work with the lore, with the ganyan. Na parang if you are not super the sweaty esports player, there's still something for you there.
Yeah.
Because say what you will about about how profitable esports once was, esports is still a small subsection of the already small subsection in the Philippines of video gaming.
Yeah. And I think that's what game publishers are focusing on. Game publishers are not stupid. They know that the games are much bigger than esports. Esports is a marketing tool for the game.
Correct.
Diba? And siguro for the audience that are watching this, to clarify, gaming, when we say gaming, it's not gambling, just to be clear. It's not gambling. Diba? Screw that.
The terminology of
Bad
gaming.
Philippine Gaming Corporation. No, man. It's gambling.
Hindi blackjack yan.
Although nauna kasi talaga yung gaming na term for gambling.
Fair, but if it evolved.
Yeah. So, anyway, when we say video gaming, competitive video gaming is esports in a tournament format. Meaning, any game that you can make into a tournament, usually with an audience, diba? Then that is esports. Not all games can be esports. But all esports are
games.
Video gaming. So, kunyari, Candy Crush. Ang hirap gumawa ng tournament for Candy Crush. So, it's not an esports game. Like Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Those are not esports titles. Those are video games. When we say esports, it's those game titles that have established tournament circuits, have their own community of like gamers who actually play in their own organized tournaments or formally organized tournaments. So, gaming is not in a bad place. Gaming is in a very good place.
True.
Despite all the layoffs. It is still there. In fact, a lot of us still have our careers in gaming.
True.
Because nga, it's still there.
And the stigma's gone.
Yeah.
At least 90% I think is gone.
Yeah. Hindi ka na weird kung naglalaro ka. In fact, weird ka kung hindi ka marunong maglaro. Diba?
Like parang it's so mainstream acceptable now for people to just like watch games on their phone. Or you're not looked at parang what a nerd. Hindi mo ganun eh.
Yes.
Used to be that.
If you look at esports now, it's really just a small part of the whole thing. And a lot of people who got blinded by the numbers, people who came in and invested in esports, got the wrong information. They thought that this was going to make them money because the number said so. Pero yung pera nyo, wala sa esports. Yung pera nyo, nasa transactions in gaming. And I think people are learning the hard way. Heck, I'll go a step further. Esports course in Lyceum. I don't think it's needed. Diba? Bigla nag-change topic ako na.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Because it's related. For me nga, and I've mentioned this in private with them, but I'll say it now. I don't have anything against, particular na para, bakit, the esports curriculum. However, I'm just comparing it to how there are marketing courses in general are already criticized. Na parang, the moment you graduate, whatever marketing things, aside from the key principles talaga, if whatever you were taught is most likely obsolete by the time you graduate.
Because it changes.
Rapidly, very rapidly. Para I'm pretty sure the people who, imagine mo, the people who saw the AI stuff come in, there was such a rapid change in like what marketing could be.
In a couple of months.
Diba? And so it's very, very different. So imagine esports being different almost from case to case to case to case. How do you now turn that into a course that, paano kung malaos yun? What happens to the 4 years or so, or however long it is, that the person has invested? Parang, bakit naman na biglang, is it obsolete na? Is it ganyan? I think that's my one worry about the esports curriculum.
Sa akin, ang bigger concern pa sa akin is hireability of these guys. As a hiring manager, I won't hire an esports course graduate. Why?
You are limiting yourself.
Yeah, kasi I need, diba nga, I just mentioned earlier, I need more professionals to come in to professionalize the industry. But not too much kasi they still need to be gamers at the core because you need to understand it. Pero if I get a gamer who's a graduate of, let's say, HRM, and you have an esports course graduate, I would rather hire the HRM guy to be my hospitality manager for my esports team than the esports person.
Correct.
Why? Because he has techniques that were trained.
Correct.
And he will understand, sir, ito yung nangyayari sa hotel, so ito yung way ng mga kamuha tayo. Ito yung way to treat our players right.
Esports is more very specific.
League operations, also known as the referees. anong trabaho niyan other than legal?
That's true. Kasi,
It's
yeah.
a specialized role.
Correct. So, someone who does, sige, balik tayo marketing. Ayan, very general marketing.
Mm-hmm.
An esports organization would probably hire a marketing grad.
Yeah.
But an FMCG or another kind of company won't probably hire an esports graduate. Kasi parang what's the relevant learning there? At least what they're thinking of, di ba?
Yeah.
So, ang hirap eh. It might be, yun nga I can see it. It might limit your options as soon as you graduate.
Correct. And how many esports orgs or how many esports related companies are there in the Philippines? Less than 50.
Oh.
I tried counting it, really. I
Really?
tried counting it. Less than 50. So if you get, sige, sabihin natin 20 graduates a year, will there be openings for 3 straight years for those 50? Biglang 60 na yun.
Correct.
Unless someone gets fired or mag-expand. Walang opening. Diba? So, that's the hard part, and I hope I don't sound like a defeatist, or I hope I'm not giving like doomsday scenarios in the minds of these esports course students, because God knows I want you guys to succeed.
True na naman.
But,
We're not after like parang, haha, you're fucked.
Yeah,
Hindi naman ganun.
human. And really, if you look at like esports in the Philippines in general, nobody wants it to fail because
Yeah.
our careers are riding on it.
Correct.
Diba? I think it's just too soon to open it in the Philippines. Maybe if we were in the West, kaya?
But I would still say
Here,
nga that
no.
the principles still apply. Like parang, I think that even Western companies would still look for someone who was trained in whether it's stats or ops or marketing or ganyan, rather than someone who's so specialized in esports. Especially with, what if it happens nga na parang esports then evolves into some stuff that are outside of that curriculum already. Once again, sorry, I might be talking out of my ass because I'm not super familiar with it. But just based on like what I'm seeing on surface level, yun nga you'd rather go with someone who has the more integral key skill for it,
Yeah.
versus someone who's just super specialized in this.
What I would advise to kids who are in the esports course is you don't really have to worry too much yet. Kasi in lots of ways, and the same principle applies to all the different courses. Your course will not necessarily dictate your job.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In fairness naman, diba? To them. Kunyari, I know of someone who's a nursing graduate, but is now one of the top executives of an advertising agency.
True. That's true.
I know someone who didn't graduate at all, but is one of the like bright minds in a TV production company.
Correct.
Madaming ganun eh. So, your life is what you make it.
Yeah.
At the same time lang, try to evolve and look past your course. Try to learn as much as you can. If your internship is in these esports orgs or esports companies, learn as much as you can. Heck, if you make your own company, that might be better because now you know what to avoid kung may nakita kayong mistakes. But may hope naman eh.
Yeah.
I just go with my analysis that I don't think the esports course is needed
Right now, especially
right now. Yeah.
Siguro, I'll say rin na, sige, so we were talking about like the decline of esports as an industry. But will it die?
No.
Yun.
Definitely not.
Like,
Yeah.
why do you think so?
I think it's in a state of correction pa rin.
Yun nga. I really like that term that you said.
In fact, the term I used earlier was it's in a state of economic correction. It is still there. Probably will be correcting itself in about 5-10 years. And that's short time. That's very short. If you think, ang tagal naman nun. No, that's actually a short time for it to correct itself. And by then, hopefully people would have learned their lessons. I think there is a value to having a consortium of people in the industry who would work together and try to make policy changes, committed goals and really try to fulfill it. Because honestly, that's what PESO should have been, the Philippine Esports Organization. But what PESO has been doing now is it's been focused on the national team. Because that's one of their mandates as an NSA, a National Sports Association. Right? It's not just their role, if you ask me. I think their role is still governance and proper sport promulgation, in which case esports is the sport, and PESO has a major role to play in that. I'm not really calling out the PESO guys, but I do want to remind them that it is their role. National team, grassroots, but governing and promulgating the sport is the role of the NSA, and that is like a description of an NSA, official description in the PSE. Pero yun nga the difficulty of esports is that it's not exactly a sport that nobody owns. Somebody owns the game.
Correct.
So you're at the mercy of the owner, which is the game publisher, which is why I will always put the onus on the game publisher. If the game publisher has no plan, things will probably fold. Diba?
You mentioned that kanina na parang publishers have to make their games more what do you call it? You had a term kanina na parang it's all yun nga, the onus is on the publishers to
So I forget what you said.
yeah, but basically they have to kind of make their game more
They have to make their ecosystem work.
correct. Yeah. So thank you. That's the wording. Do you have some examples in your mind? I mentioned kanina about lore, but I wanted to know from you, like, what are the things that are...
This isn't exactly a critique on Riot Games, but I'll use them as an example. When Valorant and Wild Rift started here, there were a lot of local tournaments and local community-based activities. You barely see those anymore.
Really? What happened?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Riot.
Oh,
Because technically, it's up to them to make sure that those communities are alive.
continue and ano.
So, the thing is, I don't have the numbers to back it up. I just know that the presence is much lower than it used to be. It's not exactly a critique on them because I also understand, we want to control it. Diba? Gets ko naman yun. From a game publisher standpoint, you'd probably want unprecedented control over the game, especially bago yung game.
Right.
And it's proven to be a huge game, referring to Valorant. But then, games are built on communities. And if you not really refuse, I don't think that's the right term. If you fail to recognize that you need communities to start popping up and build things by themselves, it won't grow your game. Diba? VCT used to have like a Philippine tournament. Now it's regional. But that could also be player-based related kasi. But why is it player-based related? Maybe it's because not that many people are playing it anymore. I don't know. But weird because they also made Manila server available just a couple of weeks ago.
That's
Right?
true.
So the thing is, I'm not privy to how Riot makes decisions, but I do know na things kind of died down. Things could have been a lot bigger. And all respect to my friends in Riot, right? And Globe was part of that partnership before, but things changed both inside Globe and in Riot. In my last few years in Globe, there was virtually not much happening between the two companies, and I think that was a missed opportunity. Kasi you already have 50% of the market, at least mobile-wise. Diba? It could have been used to push Wild Rift a lot, to push Teamfight Tactics a lot. But both companies had different priorities at that time. It's not entirely the fault of one company over the other. Both had different priorities. So, biglang, sayang. That was a captive audience that we could have gotten.
True.
Diba? So, while I put a lot of pressure on game publishers, a lot of players in the ecosystem also have their part to play. telcos for one because infra is theirs.
Correct.
Diba?
Actually.
So, kung support ang network ng Globe, support ang network ng Smart, support ang network ng dito, paano ka makakalaro na maayos? Diba?
Well, to be fair, the infra is getting better. Year on year, I think it's getting better.
It has. But at the same time, and I'll go very telco specific here, all that promise of enhanced experiences because of 5G, they're really materialized.
Actually, yeah. But to be fair, we're getting better fiber now. Diba? Like, para I think the quality of our internet has become better. At least that's noticeable.
Sobra nga eh.
True.
Like, you don't need 100 Mbps.
Yes, you do.
You barely need 50.
It's fair.
Right?
You'll be surprised. Like, my one side comment, you'll be surprised with how many people, yes, there are people in the industry who are, and there will be in any industry, who are out to just make money for themselves.
Yeah.
But you will be surprised how many people who really genuinely want gaming to be a thing in the Philippines.
Yeah.
We've gotten, I'm happy to say na parang the people surrounding me right now have supported our, they do help out on Geek. I mean, even just Raph being here. They do help out on Geek in like our mission to, at the very least make gaming a more stable industry here. Like coming out, like we don't do a lot of esports. We do a lot of like the PC console gaming. And they're still helping out. They believe in the vision of parang, if we succeed in this area, then, gaming does succeed. And same with us.
Nobody wants it to fail.
There are, we can't ignore that there are bad actors who are just like, I'm just gonna take what money I can from the pot. But don't think that's everyone.
Yeah.
There's a big number of people who I know in the industry. Like, I did say na parang I respect Ralph. There are other people also in the industry who I really know and respect that you see their strides.
Yeah.
In like doing this. Jobert, for example. You know he wants video gaming to succeed. Because if it was just events, he could have just done any whatever event, right? But he does stick to geek and gaming events because he has a genuine love for it. I know you did mention that you accidentally got into gaming it because that was but yun nga, at the
Some
very
people have made it their life.
Oh. And to be fair, even if you didn't start with that, I do know for a fact that you all are also like trying to make the industry succeed. So parang there are those ren.
Yeah.
What do you sige, so to kind of wrap up on a positive note, like how do you see the industry growing? Or at least like what kind of success or what kind of like what's your forecast on like how the industry will be for both esports, for all aspects, esports, streaming, geek,
Gosh, that's such a loaded question.
It is. So feel free to like, you can zoom in on any particular one.
One thing that gives me great comfort is, because now we're in a state of correction, right? There's no way to go but up.
That's fair.
There's nowhere else to go but up.
That's fair.
Kasi, right
Ito
now,
na ba yung bear market na? Wow, crypto tayo.
Yeah, I would say so.
For us na.
Kasi, like companies that closed down, eventually new ones will come up. And people who made mistakes before know not to make those mistakes again.
Right.
One thing also I will say is there is some gatekeeping in esports and gaming in the Philippines. I won't lie, that happens. There's a lot of gatekeeping, in fact. But at the same time, there are a lot of brilliant minds out there. Remember, as the pioneers of gaming and esports age, a new generation comes in that actually sees things differently from what our generation has seen.
True.
So, let's say I actually don't have to look much further than kids who graduated recently from schools that finally entered esports. Kunyari, UAAP esports, NCAA esports, those, and CCE, Academia Alliance Games, even Estudiante Esports by Dark League, all of these collegiate-based tournaments eventually will lead to something great for the industry. Kasi you have students who have experienced being embraced by the gaming population and these orgs these game publishers, these organizers are saying, hey, you're still in college, you're still in high school, but embrace gaming. Because look, I have a career out of it. But I'm not saying all of them will eventually have careers, because some of them see this as a hobby. But eventually, they will see, okay, it's a viable career. There's business to be made out of it. There are new ways to make money off it. And I generally believe in the goodness of the hearts of people, especially with everything that we're seeing now. Flood control, corruption, that that hit something. Even all those revolutions in Nepal, in Indonesia.
It's wild.
Yeah, the time that this is being recorded, there are issues kasi in Indonesia and Nepal where the Gen Z is taking hold of the situation and demanding change. So while I think in the Philippines, the millennials and the boomers will say, shut the fuck up, sit down. Eventually, ganun tayo. Once we're too old to give a shit.
Daming agings!
Yeah, man. No, but really, the Gen Zs, I have so much hope for these guys because once they start running things in the best way possible, this will really be good. Kasi unlike us who still reach the age of analog, they know nothing but games. Diba? They grew up with games. So sa kanila, it's so normal. There's bound to be some groundbreaking idea to help fix the I'm not gonna say it's a shithole, but I'm saying it's a mess right now. Diba? It will get fixed. Eventually, like our generation, we're trying to fix the pricing. We're trying to fix the operation side of it. Once we've hit that, the younger generation will think of ways to bring it to the next level.
True.
Because when we started, esports lang yan eh. Wala namang content creation and streaming eh.
Correct.
Content creation and streaming just started 2016, 2017. Right?
Yeah, very early start.
But we kind of started 2006 for esports. Thereabouts. Diba? Date's not accurate, but in general lang yan. So, if you look at the progression, 06, 2016, 2026. O ano na yung mangyari in 2026? Kung nag-start ka ng esports, internet cafe tournaments, which moved to live streaming, content creation, what's next in 2026?
Correct.
What's next in 2036? Right? So, I think there will always be generational changes.
True.
The biggest change for our generation, for the millennial generation who were in their mid-20s, mid-30s, is content creation and live streaming, if you ask me. What's next? AI, maybe? I don't know.
You know what really, what was really vital for me was the fact that the stigma went away.
Yeah.
I think that
That's a
was
huge
such
win.
a huge W for us. Because if you analyze video gaming now, you're mentioning it's an ecosystem.
Yes.
Imagine you're talking about esports, and that went deep. But you also have, so for example, for us, there's journalism. And then you have game publishing, mga ganyan. You have marketing, which is, that's the one that I was super excited with, how mainstream geek cosplay marketing is now. Na parang, sorry, kasi,
Huge.
and fine, personal yan. Because I see it in Japan.
Yeah.
No, because, inggit ko yun sa Japan. When I go to Japan and I'm like walking Shibuya, dude, they have like anime advertisements for like normal products. Parang ako,
Correct.
amazing. And people think it's normal. And it's so ingrained in their And there are a lot of geeks in the Philippines.
Yeah.
There are a lot of anime cartoon enjoyers ng 80s cartoons with the K, di ba? Parang there are so many people who enjoy it. But it's starting to, so yeah, you have marketing for that, then competition for esports, publishing, you have, there's so many things that you can possibly do for it. Hell, you know what, I know it's not exactly like at its peak right now. VTubing!
Yeah, yeah.
Content creation, streaming, that's there. And so entertainment, that's there. There's so many avenues in geek and gaming right now. Na parang those are the stuff that I'm excited for, that it evolves
Yeah.
for. Ganyan.
I'm excited for the next stage. I can't predict it. I don't know what it will be. Pero, yun nga, just look back at the past 10 years, man.
That's true.
It's huge. Who would have thought that you can make a career out of streaming yourself?
True. One
10 years
last
ago, hindi.
one last question that I want to ask you. Because I actually forgot to ask this a while ago. Regarding events. What is the course correct that we need to do? Kasi nga, a lot of issues happen, you mentioned. And then what is the course correct that we need to do, in your opinion, to put to get back to the time that we're having a lot of like high quality geek and gaming events again?
I think
Take note, I'm not saying wala. Kasi there are like cosplay events like here and there. But I'm just saying na parang there was a lot of ano rin kasi before. How do we get
siguro, before I get there, I'd like to give props to CBZN Corporation.
Correct.
Because they have carried the mantle of making gaming conventions.
True.
Before it was Garaya, now it's them.
Correct.
Jobert, IE and Jojo, if you need help, we're all here.
True.
The thing about events now is people have been so focused on revenue, as they should be, kasi business.
Totoo naman. You have to.
Business yan. Pero, focusing on revenue, focusing on records, on ticket sales, attendance records, all of those lead to disasters. Because you put KPIs that are not community focused first. And therefore, suddenly, the experience for convention goers, it becomes like sacrificed a little bit. Kasi kunyari, if you want 60,000 people to attend, only 2 places, SMX or World Trade.
We're so limited by our venues now.
Yeah. Bakit kailangan doon? Kailangan aircon. Kailangan malaki. Kung hindi kaya ng gear.
Correct.
Diba? Maluluto yung
Units,
gear,
yung ano.
At mabango. Ayaw natin ng medyo kailangan
Right.
ng
The right
sponsorship
pa na.
with Rexona. Buy Rexona.
I still want that to happen, by the way.
I think it has. And Super...
Superman, really? Was it?
Persona, and
Yeah, they did.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's
Unilever
amazing.
came in.
Amazing.
So great.
Okay.
Now, I think the problem with going the direction of hitting those numbers is it's revenue driven, and you tend to sacrifice a lot and end up like not hitting the mark. I say that about some events that was so focused on breaking records, on marketing it without realizing that, okay, paano siya operations-wise?
Right.
Paano siya crowd control-wise? Paano siya in terms of logistics to the venue-wise? Because the Philippines is still not 100% ready to host international level events. Kasi logistics pa lang talo na tayo eh.
Right.
Those two venues that I mentioned, it's so hard to get there without a car.
Ooh, right.
Kung may kotse ka man, ang konti ng parking.
True.
So, SMX pwede na. Dami naman. May MAX, may NU, pwede sa LRM.
To be fair, kind of LRT. And then a little bit of ano. Yeah.
Tapos, sakay ka. May Grab naman, technically, yeah, pero ang mahal. But you have to remember, most of the people who attend these events are either students or yuppies.
Correct.
Or people who have kids na ang hirap magdala ng tao to these events.
Correct.
So, wala kang choice eh. Doon lang talaga sa dalawang venues na yan. Ayala 1, maybe?
They're trying. I noticed.
Ayala Malls, Manila Bay, maybe?
See, ano? Who's the casino again? I keep forgetting the name.
Soler?
Kada is trying.
Yeah. Pero again, logistics. Tapos, I know this coming from an event organizer point of view, all of these venues nagbabawi ng losses from the pandemic. So sobrang gastos, ang laki. A weekend in SMX, costs can vary, but it's way high in the millions. Ba? Hindi lang siya 1 million. It's much higher than 1 million for a weekend. And how do you then pay for that using ticket sales alone?
Correct.
Using booth space alone? Using whatever source of revenue you have for these events?
Right.
Like esports, like gaming, it's also an ecosystem to make an event.
True.
And unless the SMXs of the World Trade Centers of the world, unless these venues understand na mahal yun eh.
Yeah.
Ang hirap nun. Hindi makakabuo talaga ng proper event organizers. They're instantly at a disadvantage because they also don't want to price the tickets too high. Kasi it's either they put the burden of that to the congoers, or they put the burden of the expense on the people who purchase booth space so that they have a display.
So given that, what's the course correct? Kung ano? Just focus
Walang
on
solution. Unfortunately, if you ask
Yeah,
me,
but what's the perspective change at least? Rather than
I-
KPIs, is it...
Renovate SMX.
I know, right? I know, right?
the thing is that's going for the big ones. Kasi if you ask me, make smaller pocket ones na marami.
True.
Kasi there's I say this proudly. There's a lot of untapped geekdom in other countries in the Philippines. If you make a small scale PGDX or Philippine game show in Iloilo, which has its own convention
That's
center,
true.
have one here in Quezon City. There's a new events place that Mayor Joy made.
Oh, yes. The one that All Aboard did.
Yeah,
Galing nun.
So
Galing nun.
so put a Quezon City game show. Put a Cebu game show.
It's actually that's, yeah. I
That
like
will work.
that.
Kasi that way, you make it into convention. There is a division in DOT called MICE, Meetings.
Right.
Uh,
dun siya ginawa sa MICE,
yeah.
MICE Center. Yeah.
Ano ba yung I? Basta conventions and
I
events.
forgot. Yeah.
So, partner up with the DOT so that there are ways to get government support to that. And I hope it's much cleaner now in government. But do it like micro events, tapos expand your audience outside of Manila. Kasi kung ang goal mo lang is 60,000 people, sa Manila lang pwede. But if you spread that, okay, like 5,000 in QC, 5,000 in Iloilo, 5,000 in Davao, 10,000 in Cebu, diba? Eventually, you'll realize na, mas madali mag-monetize kasi may companies in Cebu, companies in Davao, companies in Iloilo. All of those that just want to be part of it and will be able to spend. Kasi these events don't happen in those areas. So, go tourism approach. Go regional
To be fair,
approach.
that's what Mayor Joy Belmonte did with the All Aboard event. I highly respect, by the way, what Hans did of Gaming Library for the I covered that. Jesus Christ, that was such a
Yeah, galing, diba?
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but I saw the
I was there.
material that came out of it.
Galing nun.
So, I think that's the future for gaming events.
Okay.
Kasi if you look at like the traditional gaming events like ESGS, I don't think there's much room to go beyond what has been established.
That's fair.
Kasi you're limited infrastructure-wise and logistics-wise.
That's a very good approach to it.
So yeah, just go out. Dude, believe me, there are a lot of geeks. There are a lot of gamers. There are a lot of tangent cultural events that you can do. Cosplay, concert.
True.
In fact, there was a company that tried to do everything all at once called Howlers Manila.
Howlers. Oh nga!
Diba?
I've been hearing them.
They tried to break the record for most number of cosplayers.
I know that. Ooh.
Kind of didn't
That was a
happen the
little
way
bit.
they wanted.
Yeah.
Pero this group was on the right track.
To be fair.
Diba?
A very
There's
young
a-
group, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there was a concert, there was a bike show, there was cosplay. I think that yun lang yung naging problema. Naging chop suey. Medyo
Actually,
a little bit of everything.
sorry, I don't know for a fact. If what I heard was correct, I think it's also the outdoor venue that kind of
Yun
hurt
din.
them.
Yun din.
Ah.
It's so hard to organize in that
In
venue.
cosplay, oh my god, that's hard.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. There will always be opportunities. There will always be business to be made. But I think we all have to go outside of Manila and go to where the others have never experienced all of these before. Imagine how starved they are
True.
for geek events, for gaming, cosplay events, man. It will be huge in other places in the Philippines. Especially with mega cities propping up. Laguna starting to have its own. Clark is technically ready for it. Maraming venues in Clark. Eh.
I'm excited. I hope the people who do watch this kind of like take inspiration, or who knows, maybe like they're already doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Magastos na. So
Ah.
may flights. But, ready hire ka local team. Easier said than done. Diba?
Anyway, thank you. That was a lot. That was amazing. Thank you. It's nice that we get to talk. These are the conversations that we have on our own.
Yeah.
And I hope na parang for this episode, I know there are a lot of you who are probably like, oh, this is business talking again. But I hope for those of you who did like tune in and like listen towards the, I think there was a lot of like good bite-sized bits of knowledge here and there that I hope can inspire you if you really are looking to get into the industry, or if you just wanted to know more about the industry. I hope that helped. So yeah, we're ending this episode like how we always end our episodes, and I warned you about this earlier.
Yeah.
No explanations, no justifications. Gaming or anime hot take.
Goku beat Superman.
Whoa!
Wala pang Ultra Instinct.
Stroke!
He beat
Sorry.
Superman. Wala pang
What
Ultra Instinct.
what Superman? What Goku? Anong form?
Madali lang yung David Cornsweet Superman.
Ah,
So that's a weak ass Superman.
Wow,
That's
that's
a weak ass Superman.
but the most interesting one to watch for me.
Yeah. In fairness.
But sige, at least what form of Goku?
Sige. For Goku, Super Saiyan God, not Super Saiyan Blue. Super Saiyan God beats him.
Red.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Not strong enough to beat Superman.
Yun
Ayan.
no explanations.
Kaya rin niya mag-outer space eh. Diba? Kaya rin niya mag-outer
To be fair.
Instant transmission. Superman wala pa.
All right. We're wrapping it up there. Thank you so much for all of you. We'll see you in the next episode. Till next time, my name's Rob from Mangeek. This has been Mr. Raf Alegado. Thank you so much for giving us the time. Till next time, boys and girls, keep on gaming. Bye-bye.